Hey, I'm Mike with the Florida Public Archaeology Network, and today I'm going to take you all on a hiking tour of a small part of Eglin Air Force Base Reservation right off of State Highway 87. What's now the Eglin Air Force Base Reservation at one time was actually part of a national forest called the Choctawhatchee National Forest. And Choctawhatchee National Forest was established by President Theodore Roosevelt in 1908. But in the 1930s, the Choctawhatchee National Forest, a large portion of it, was transferred to the War Department, and it became what's now Eglin Air Force Base. And so it continues to be used for those military purposes even to this day. Eglin Reservation has over 460,000 acres, and of those over 460,000 acres, 250,000 of those acres are actually open to public access and public use. But it's important to note, for all those activities, you need to make sure that you have a permit to access the reservation, because it is required depending on whatever activity you're going to do. This is federal land, so the natural resources and the archaeological and historic sites and structures that are on Eglin Reservation, and there are hundreds of them, are all protected under federal law. So do not disturb any of those if you do decide to come out here and do some hiking. Now this is such a cool plant right here. This is called the American Beautyberry, and as you can tell, it gets its name from these beautiful berries, these purple berries that grow on the plant. But the American Beautyberry was known to be used for folk remedies. It was used as an insect repellent for hundreds of years. Within the last couple of decades, the USDA has actually done some tests with this plant, and in laboratory testing, they found that there's chemicals within these leaves that do repel mosquitoes. And in laboratory tests, they isolated some of the chemicals from this leaf and they put it up against DEET, and it was just as an effective repellent against mosquitoes as it is for DEET. Now, of course, I don't recommend that if you're out in the woods that you try to rub this on your body. We do know that this leaf has those chemicals that will repel mosquitoes if, of course, processed in the proper way. Hiking in Florida in the summer can be really, really tough because when you have 100% humidity and it's 100 degrees outside, which is really humid today, and that's why I'm sweating so much, it can be tough to even do a couple miles hike. But there's nothing like going out on a hike and coming across a creek, a freshwater creek like this one. And Eglin Reservation has a number of these freshwater creeks all throughout the reservation. Creeks and streams are really important parts of the ecosystem of Northwest Florida, and they're all connected to either groundwater or river water, and they all eventually, for the most part, will flow back out into our seas and our estuaries. So it's really important that we take care of them. Now, these creeks and streams on Eglin Reservation and in this area are formed through different processes. Sometimes they're literally just flowing off of river systems, and other times they're known as steephead creeks or seepage creeks. And this is basically underwater streams. Groundwater that's flowing beneath the ground will come up to the surface through the sand and then form a creek through what's called the head. It will spring up through the ground. And these are beautiful clear water creeks. They're sandy bottom, completely crystal clear, and then also what's good for days like today is that they're very, very cool. I think the water here is probably in the high 60s, which is really nice for my feet right now. A lot of these creeks and streams have faced challenges through people living in these areas from development. So from building roads and stormwater systems to drain the water out. And so it's really important, whatever you pack in, make sure you pack it out. But also if you're driving down a highway, for example, make sure no trash flies out the window, because ultimately that's going to end up in the stormwater and the storm drains, which oftentimes flows into these creeks, these natural creeks, and then eventually flows out into our estuaries and eventually out into the sea. So let's do our part to make sure that we keep these natural areas as beautiful and pristine as possible so we can all enjoy them in all their awesomeness.